Good morning, One Heart, One Mind Center for Spiritual Living on this beautiful Sunday morning in, let's see, it's June 8th. So I have picked out some music that I'm very excited about today. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the song. Oops, that's not the right one though. I will try that again. I'm just going to share the on this one, I'm just going to share the music because it's not a video. So I will, oops, there we go. And this is our wonderful Ed Watkins Jr., who I adore. I love his music. And like I said, no video today, so we'll just share his beautiful voice. And this one is Say Yes.
Oh yeah. If it could be that we agree to live in harmony and set aside all that divides for the sake of humanity, would you say yes? Yes, yes, yes. If it could be that we agree to meet on common ground, plant the tree and spread the fruit of love all around, would you say yes? Yes, yes, yes. Come on, everybody, sing with me. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If you believe in you and me, sing yes, yes, yes. If you believe like I believe, we can make a better world. Listening to each other till every voice is heard. Singing yes, 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 yes. What makes you say if we found a way to end all poverty, so all could live with dignity from sea to shining sea? Oh, we say yes. Come on, everybody, sing with me. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If you believe in you and me, sing yes, yes. Ooh, come on, everybody, sing with me. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If you believe in you and me, sing yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Say yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If you believe in you and me, sing yes, yes, yes.
You're muted.
I'm talking and I'm muted. That's not gonna work. So we're gonna say yes, yes, yes. And it's kind of a bit about what I'm talking about today. And I know that Ralane, our practitioner of the day, let's welcome her, has something to say about yes too. Good morning, Ralane.
Morning. So the challenge is not getting God into our lives, but realizing that our lives are already in God. This is by Robert Corrin Morris, an Episcopalian priest, and he wrote this in the book on grace. And he goes on to say it is easier for a mind that has learned how to be present in the moment, receptive to what comes. And one of his favorite chants is Hineni, and it happens to be one of my favorite chants too. And Hineni is a Hebrew word, and it's actually a very powerful word. And it can either mean here I am or here am I. I like here am I, and Robert Corn Morris uses the here am I. And he says he really likes the way it vibrates in his throat. So if you're all muted, I'd like you to just try and practice it for just a second, okay? Okay. And you could hold your throat if you want or just feel it. He, nay, nee. He, nay, nee. He, nay, nee. Okay? You guys sound great, even though I can't hear you. I know it sounds really, I can feel that vibration. All right. So, what I'd like to do here is something a little different. I'm going to do step 1 and step 2 prayer, and then I'm going to do a Hineni experiential meditative thing so you can get a sense of it, of how it feels. Okay, and I do believe it fits in with Michelle's talk a little bit. Okay, so let's close our eyes, all right? We know that God is present right here and now, always and eternally. God is all in. God is presence. God is sacred, focused, and attentive. God is spontaneity, vibration, flow, grace, sweetness, and goodness. I am, and we are one. We are one with this grace and this sweetness and this goodness of God, this vibration, this spontaneity. We are that we are that we are. Hineni, the gift of standing here is simple and sweet. I share this goodness with others just in being my presence. Hineni means our answer is yes to God before God even asks. Hineni is a pure, astonished, unguarded affirmation given before even all the facts are known. It is a spontaneous, unequivocal commitment, promising, I am here, where, and as you found me, fully attentive, focused, all in, and even more. I am here, all of me, with all that I am and all that I can be. Hineni is a sacred and undiluted presence without reservations. It expands the boundaries of myself, indicating a readiness to receive and respond to whatever experience is about to unfold. Hineni, promising myself to be all that I am, and I offer myself for service. Hineni is more of an existential expression. I'm not only here, but I'm here. Spiritually, I'm all in. I'm prepared to reflect on who I am, what's important to me, and how I can affect change for others and the world. I offer my total availability, emphasizing that I am present and ready. I feel a deep connection to the divine oneness. I feel humility and awe and readiness to be me. Hineni, here am I. The gift of standing here is simple, good, and sweet. And so it is. June's affirmation. We celebrate the one divine presence, expressing as many. We honor all paths as sacred and all people as divine. Within life's unity and diversity, we behold the wholeness of God and we walk together in love and gratitude. And so it is.
That was really beautiful, Elaine. I really, really, really enjoyed that. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for that. That was beautiful precursor, I guess. I don't know what else to call it, to today's talk. So thank you for that. And this next song is actually a video. So I am going to share the video. I'm going to share my screen, but I'm not where I am. Not do that just yet. I'm not going to, I'll post the link for Facebook on later, because I've noticed that if I do both together, try to do videos on Facebook, it doesn't work, but I am recording. So I just post the recordings to the Facebook page. So it'll be there. And also on our YouTube channel. So here we go. And I think this is a lovely follow-up to that beautiful opening. Where I am, God is where I stand. God standing strong.
Yeah, she's doing a video of somebody singing and they never sing.
God is where joy lives in my feet, where I live. I just realized that I didn't share the sound. You guys can't hear this, can you? Oh, dang. I'm so sorry. Let me start again. My bad. Well, we'll fix that. Oh, yeah. Usually I have to hit the share sound button, and that might make it a little bit more interesting. Let's try it again.
Where I am,
The sound. Thumbs up if you can.
God is where I stand. God is standing strong.
Amanda, can you hear the sound?
Where I breathe, God is breathing life in and out and through me. Ask me where I sing.
Okay, I'm just going to stop it for a minute because I don't know if you can hear the sound. I can hear the sound. Okay, good. Finally. Thank you. I'm sorry.
God is where I dance. Joy lives in my feet. Where I live, beauty's flowing free, in and out and through me. As me, for where I doubt, God is the faith in me. Where I cry, God is the comfort there. Where I seek, God is the answer. Here and now, forever and ever and ever. Where I speak, truth is. Where I work, love is my career. I play, where I work and breathe and move and feel, where I sing, where I dance my dance, wherever I go, where I pray and take and give and leave. God is, life is, joy is, oh, God is.
That's one of my favorite videos. I always get gut chills with it. And that's really in keeping with our theme today. So and Ralane just really kicked that off for us, that we're talking about really living and being within the presence of God today. So, as always, I just want to again welcome everyone, say good morning, and whether you're joining us in real time or replay, I just want to welcome you. And as always, I know that something you experience in this service will benefit and uplift your life. I know that that's true. I just set that intention every week before we begin. So today we're talking about, well, the talk title is Doing What We Want to Do, which from a science of mind perspective, it really implies that when we align with the constant, unchangeable presence of our Creator and all the attributes of its divine nature, we talk about them all the time: peace, love, order, harmony, joy. As we embody these spiritual truths through our spiritual practices, we demonstrate them in our lives. And we create the freedom to do what we want to do. Or we could say it this way: when we align with our true nature, the nature of God, the things that we want to do will naturally be in harmony with the nature of God's good. We bring everything into harmony with God's good. And, that doesn't mean that there aren't going to be things in our lives that we don't want to do. We'll always have preferences. I'd much rather share a meal with friends than take the garbage out. But we'll have a much more balanced approach to engage with all things. We'll bring even the things we don't prefer to do into harmony with the nature of God's good, bringing the peace of God into all things, into every area of our lives, really. So Ernest Holmes, our founder, in his little book, This Thing Called You, wrote this. This is how he addressed this idea. He said, we choose that which we choose that which we wish to embody, and by constant attention to it, take in all the characteristics. Let us learn to be happy doing what we love to do, because when we're doing what we love, we're in harmony with our true nature, which is what I said. When we're doing when we are in harmony with our true nature, then everything we do, we love to do, in essence, even if it's something we prefer less than something else. And I'm sure you know that the most basic spiritual principle that we teach in Science of Mind is our oneness with God. A Holmes quote I use often is, there is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is my life now. Or another quote from that little book, This Thing Called You, is, we are in God and God is in us. We are one with the infinite mind, which is what Ralane told us in her beautiful opening, is that we are living our life in God. And intellectually, it's pretty easy to understand that we're one with God, with the presence that created everything. That we're all expressions of God. But living it is something else altogether. And probably the places and the times that I feel the most acutely aware of God's presence is when I experience nature, when I'm in a natural setting. It's so easy for me to see and to feel and to hear the presence of God when I'm surrounded by the natural wonder and beauty of nature. And yet, sometimes during the busy activity of my day, I can find it a little bit more difficult to see, feel, and experience my unity with God. Because we've been so enculturated to see ourselves as something separate, moving through creation, sort of like these parts and these pieces that are acting upon each other, not all one thing, but rather, just me acting with you and me interacting with something separate from myself. And it's harder to see that kind of balance and harmony and order in creation when I see myself separate from you. So it's important for me to establish myself through my daily spiritual practice as this beneficial, valuable part of the whole. I have to establish myself in knowing that I am part of the whole. I share all of the attributes of this divine presence. And to do this before I step out into my day, because again, I know I say this all the time, but it's still true. Beginning spirituality is understanding the concepts and the ideas of spiritual truths. And the advanced course is actually living spiritual principles in our daily life. And I always have to come back to my basic spiritual practices. They keep me grounded in God. They remind me that I'm living and moving and having my being in God. So it's so important to remember that we're a part of this unified field of life. When I'm looking through that lens, the world just looks so much different. So there's a story that I wanted to tell. The story is called The 10 Fools. And the story goes that 10 people are traveling together and they come upon a rushing river. And they have no choice but to cross it if they want to get to where they're going. So one by one, they begin to carefully ford the river. And when they all get to the other side, they decide to do a head count just to make sure everyone got across safely. So the first person counts everyone and he comes up with 9. And then the second person counts everyone and he comes up with 9 again. All 10 count and they still only think there's 9 of them there. So they begin to think that one of their friends has been washed away in the rushing river. And then the 10 fools sit down by the river and they began to weep for the loss of this unnamed friend who they don't even know who's gone. So finally a fisherman comes along and he asks why they're all so upset, and they tell him, and so he counts for them, and he counts them by slapping them in the face one at a time, and he discovers that all 10 are present. And you've probably guessed why they only counted 9, but no one counted themselves. And so the moral of the story is, how often do we exclude ourselves from the wholeness and the presence of the divine? How often do we forget to see ourselves as part of that moving, living life of God, to see ourselves as separate from life and the activity of God that's going on all around us, until life slaps us across the face and reminds us that we are indeed in the activity of God. And I confess that there are certainly times when I forget to count myself as part of the whole. Times when I feel separate, times when I experience lack or limitation in some area of my life, even though I know I'm actually surrounded by infinite abundance and infinite energy and infinite potential. We all are. And we experience it to the degree that we remember who we are. Remember, I use this line all the time because it's one of my favorite. It's on page 37 of the Science of Mind. I knew exactly where to find it when I was looking for it this week. It is, we are bound because we are first free. The power which appears to bind us is the only power in the universe that can free us. It's a question of how we will use this power. From what perspective will we view our lives? What do we know? Let's step beyond belief and know who we are and that we're one with this. This divine presence, this unified field, we live our lives within the mind of God. You know, one of the things that I love about being in spiritual community is that we get to be curious together. We get to explore spiritual truths together. We do it all the time in our classes and our prayer groups on Sundays. But the other day, and I know you're going to know who you are, but I didn't use your names because I didn't ask you permission. But the other day, I overheard a conversation where one person was asking another person about the nature of law. And the question was answered so eloquently, expanding on the nature of law and that familiar quote from Ernest Holmes that we use all the time, love points the way and law makes the way possible. And it really piqued my interest. So I decided to take a little bit of a deeper dive into this idea. And what I briefly heard in the conversation was that there is only love, which makes total sense to me. And then I heard that law is love. And I really had to kind of take a minute and think about that and ask myself, am I misinterpreting the idea of love and law? Because I tend to think of love as God's presence, as the presence of just the beingness of God, and law as the way to express that presence. And in my linear human thinking, I've always thought of God, spirit, first cause, however we want to language that divine presence, as simply being, as a benevolent presence. And that this presence created a way to express itself, that it created the mechanics for creation, if you will, or what we call the law. And, as an avenue to express itself into form, a way in which it can reflect back to itself, which is a way to know itself more fully through its creation, right? That's all the language we use all the time. But now I wonder, have I been thinking of love and law as two separate things? Because in our humanness, we tend to see things as parts, parts acting on parts, like I said, which implies separation. And there is no separation in God. All things are one. But I think the higher truth is that all of creation is a manifestation within the mind of God. Holmes told us that we're an idea in the mind of God. Quote. He said, let me see if I can find the quote. Here it is. He said, and I can't, here it is. He said, mankind's mind is the mind of God, functioning at the level of mankind's understanding of our place in the universe. So we're functioning within the mind of God at the level that we believe we are, how we see ourselves in relationship to God and to the world around us. And our individual human consciousness is functioning, is active within the mind of God. And sometimes when we say individualized, it makes it sound like we're a separate expression of God. But more accurately, we are living within God. And just this simple shift in perspective has invited me to look at the idea of love and law in a fresh new way, and to see our oneness from a slightly different perspective. And I think a much more powerful perspective, since God is all there is and everything is part of the whole of God. This means we're living within God, and that God didn't set up a system of laws in order to express itself as the universe. God is law. Law is God. Law is simply the nature of God. And it's this isness, Reverend Gisela likes to say isness, and I think it's a beautiful way to describe this presence. The isness of God is law, and all the other aspects that we attribute to God too: peace, order, harmony, balance, wisdom. You know, we can say the same thing about all of these. Peace is God, order is God, harmony is God, balance is God, wisdom is God, love is God, and we are God. And this simple shift in perspective is a very powerful one, to know that we are not just sharing, we are the nature of God, and that we truly can do anything we want to do that is in harmony with the nature of God, because we are one with, we are living within the life of God. We're powerful, creative beings. We can't be anything else. And it also means that because everything is within God, nothing escapes the knowingness of God, because everything is happening within the mind of God. Everything we think, everything we feel and do is happening within God. And the nature of the universe is perfect balance. So things that are out of harmony with divine nature, our nature, are highlighted for us so that we can bring them back into balance and harmony, so that we can see our consciousness, you know, wherever in our consciousness we are misperceiving our oneness with the whole, so that we can bring it back into God's perfect balance and harmony. I hope that makes sense. So here's the thing. The very most effective spiritual tool that we have, that I have discovered to move us back into harmony with the nature of God, into that balance, is how we feel. I believe this is our most powerful spiritual tool. And I don't say this lightly. Oh, it's how you feel. I know that our feelings are the most valuable spiritual tool we have, because they're non-conceptual. You know, they're not about an idea, and they're intuitive. Again, we're living our lives within the life of God. And if we are out of alignment with or out of harmony with the nature of God, we're going to feel discomfort. The language of the universe is energy, and our feelings vibrate at different frequencies. Things we associate with God expand us. They feel good because they vibrate at a high frequency. And the things that feel not so good, they contract us and vibrate at a lower frequency. So our feelings tell us that we're either in alignment with or out of alignment with the nature of God, with our nature. And I don't want us to think that some feelings are good and some feelings are bad. We're not judging our feelings. Our feelings are not a problem to be fixed. Our feelings are messages to understand. They're telling us something about what we believe and how to shift our consciousness and change our state of being, which will lead us to that inner peace and inner freedom. You know, there's a line in the Course in Miracles that says that whenever you see the world as something other than God in any way, you have imagined a world that doesn't exist. And I think that the way that we move back into viewing the world correctly is through watching how we feel, into recognizing and knowing how we feel, allowing our feelings to be messengers. You know, and I think that can help us to identify what we're experiencing that doesn't really exist. You know, it might feel real, but our feelings are highlighting what needs to be brought into the wholeness, into the clarity, and into the compassion of love. You know, I believe it's really important to understand that there's no good or bad feelings. They're just feelings. And when we view our feelings as messages, then they're never wrong or invalid. They're just insights. And they're like these sacred guides leading us to the root cause of why we feel the way we feel. And from this perspective, all of our feelings can be welcomed and not resisted, because we know how resistance feels and what it does. It just postpones the inevitability of having to face our feelings. And, we're probably all familiar with the ways that we tend to resist or put up that resistance to what we might call negative feelings. We might try to ignore them and put on this forced positivity. We call that spiritual bypass. Just put on a happy face, right? Or we might use something to distract us, and there's a million different things we can be distracted with. Alcohol, drugs, work, sex, TV, the list goes on. And all of which just postpone looking at the root cause. Because truth is that until we change our relationship to our feeling, whatever it is, our feeling isn't going to change. And of course, the only authentic way to change our relationship to a feeling is by uncovering the underlying belief underneath the feeling that we're having. Our feelings are reflections of our innermost beliefs. So we kind of have two kinds of feelings, right? Well, at least we categorize them this way. Feelings we call positive and feelings we call negative. And again, we're not labeling them either good or bad. They just are. A little bit like a charge, with a negative charge or a positive charge. A positive feeling, which is expansive, and a negative feeling, which is contractive. Positive feelings are based in unity and our oneness with God. And negative feelings, started to say emotions, but I think feelings is more accurate. Negative feelings are based in separation. They tend to make us feel alone and separate from God and from our good. So in essence, positive feelings are reflections of a unity consciousness and expressions or reflections of love. And negative feelings are a reflection of separation consciousness, and maybe an expression or a reflection of fear. So as we walk through our day, if we find ourselves feeling constricted or our energy feels tight and uncomfortable, we're having a negative response to some person or situation or event, then we know we're responding to a belief that is constrictive and not in alignment with the nature of God, which is our nature. And so it feels pretty uncomfortable, a reflection of a belief that's stored in our subjective mind wants to make itself known if it needs to be brought into the light of God, into the light of truth. And then once we're conscious of it, we can use it as that valuable messenger we can listen to it. We can listen to what needs to be shifted, what needs to be revealed and released. We're just feeling an energetic reflection of our deepest inner belief. That's really the long and the short of it. And we can thank our feelings for letting us know where we've strayed away from the truth of who we are in God. And we can acknowledge negative feelings, not as these, oh my gosh, that's just so horrible, but as actually as a helper, as a messenger guiding us to a better way to be. They're here to assist rather than hurt. And this is really a huge shift in perception, right? It could completely change our relationship to our feelings. Can you feel the difference between experiencing a negative feeling as a faithful messenger and a friend who's pointing something out to us, rather than something that is wrong with us that we have to fix or avoid? You've probably heard that metaphysical saying, feeling is healing. Well, that's because once you reveal it, you can draw it into the light of God. It's sort of like, a disease in our body is trying to release some toxin, something that's not good for our body. And our negative feelings are like messengers or toxins that are trying to be released to bring us back into a state of being of a wholeness of our divine nature. And I truly believe that we are meant to be at peace and to be happy and to live fulfilled lives. So, you know, if we're having some negative feelings come up and we're not sure just exactly how to deal with them, you know, try identifying what you feel. Maybe it's sadness or anger, or just, you know, a general state of fear. And maybe you're feeling a lack of something or an attachment to something that needs to be this way. Maybe you feel out of control or unsafe and you don't know how to get things to be the way you think they should be. You know, if any of those things come up, just pause, you know, and take your feelings into, I would say, a conversation with your higher self, with your God self, and just listen. You know, what are you trying to tell me? What needs to be revealed here? What is the underlying belief? And when I do that, I can usually identify what it is I believe that is causing the discomfort, whatever it is. You know, Reverend Gisela gave us that beautiful prayer a while ago. I think that would be fitting here. It's divine loving presence, reveal to me what I need to know in this situation, and reveal it in a way that I can understand it so that I can respond to it lovingly, creatively, and wisely. I love that little prayer. It's such a great reminder. And if you're feeling a negative emotion, you could change the prayer to loving presence, reveal to me what I need to know about how I'm feeling right now. Reveal it to me in a way that I can understand it so that I can lovingly, creatively, and wisely shift into a new state of being. So I love this idea of greeting all our feelings as sacred messengers, you know, that we invite them in to share their wisdom, you know, our feelings of sadness. Maybe they just need a little kindness and a little gentleness, a little understanding, or our anger may just need to be shown where we've allowed ourselves to be betrayed, where we've allowed people to push past our personal boundaries. You know, maybe we feel a sense of betrayal and it just needs the attention. And our joy may just be showing us our aliveness and our oneness with God and our ability to embrace all the things we want to do from the truth that we are living our lives within the life of God. We live our lives within the life of God. So as I was writing this, I started thinking about that beautiful Rumi poem. You probably heard it, called The Guest House. So rather than a prayer, I thought I would read his beautiful poem. So if you feel like it, take a deep breath in. You can soften your gaze or close your eyes and just hear this beautiful Rumi prayer. This being a guest house, this being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the sham, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And so it is. So I love that because it really does draw our attention to the idea that everything we experience is a messenger for us. It has some gift. And what better way to think about our feelings and our state of being as indications of what needs to be healed or what needs to be shifted or what needs to be enjoyed. Anyway. So let's see. I am not sure. Does anybody know who's doing the conscious? All right, you're on, girl.
Oh, okay. I'm in another world. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, no, this is a time for our gracious giving, and you know how to do it. We have Venmo, which is a nice, easy way to do it. And then, or else a person who wishes to send a check would send it to Reverend Michelle. And do you have a thing for that address or no?
I don't, but I don't think anybody on this call, what, I could put it
No,
on.
I was thinking more of Facebook than us.
Oh, you know what? Well, it's my address, and I don't know if I want to put that on Facebook, but I guess I could. I do have a new sacred giving affirmation though. I thought it was
Oh, how lovely.
yeah, it was tired, but not that it wasn't beautiful.
Well, let's join together with the sacred giving. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. In gratitude and trust, we give and receive from the abundance of God's good. And so it is.
Thank you, Lisa. I'll come back to you in a second.
Okay.
Benediction. Let's see, we'll have our prayer group tomorrow evening, Monday evening, and on Tuesday we will do, I think it's chapter 8. I was listening into it in the car and it's quite nice. And then on June 28th, as I said earlier, Saturday, June 28th, Reverend Abigail Albert is going to have a labyrinth walk at her house. So we'll do that as well. And yeah, that's about all that's going on with us. But I just want to encourage people, even if you don't read the book, come join us on Tuesday evening. We have the most delightful discussions. And honestly, half the time it's not even about the book. So, which is kind of cool. So yeah, don't hesitate to join. Just jump on in. It's a lot of fun. And let's see, I am going to come back to you, Lisa, to give us our benediction.
Right? Well, let us pull together and close our eyes and center on that spirit that is ever present, always with us. And I am so grateful for this service today. I feel that we were all blessed in many different ways, not only by the choices of the music, but the beginning with Ralane's introducing us to Pinani as a way of that whole. I feel as if she has given us a gift that we can use in any moment when we are drifting and need to pull back to that recognition of we stand right here within God's orbit. And anyway, then also we're blessed by Reverend Michelle's talk and reminding us of the power of our feeling and the fact that it's a spiritual gift and something that we can constantly learn from and develop and deepen our own connection with the unity of spirit. And I feel that we're blessed by the fact that we are together, that we are united in that spirit of oneness that we are seeking to express into the world. And so I'm very grateful. And with that gratitude, I release my prayer into the all by saying, and so it is.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to thank you, Ralane. You know, it was so funny because she was texting back and forth to me and I felt like I wasn't really being too clear about what I was going to say because I wasn't really sure at the time. But it turned out perfectly. What you said was just so in line with what I ended up speaking about. So I'm going to play this one song. Oops. It's not a video, so I'm just going to play the music. But this is Michael Gott, and I don't know, something about it just really touched my heart, so I thought I'd share it with you. Can you all hear it?
changing around me now. The things I knew are unfamiliar somehow. Nothing is certain, it seems so strange. Nothing is certain except for the change. I've got to rise a little higher, set my soul free. Rise a little higher, now I can see. Like a river flowing ever to a greater sea. I can rise a little higher, let the change carry me. Letting go of all of my plans, they slip away like water through my hands. No place to anchor, I'm drifting at sea. Waves of change rolling over me. I've got to rise a little higher, set my soul free. Rise a little higher, now I can see. Like a river flowing ever to the greater sea. I can rise a little higher, let the change carry me. Everything is changing always. Let it move you. Let it lift you higher, higher, to the place you've always dreamed but never knew. Carry me into the unknown, far from the comforts and cages of home. Without my past, without my shame, a new horizon is calling my name. I've got to rise a little higher, set my soul free. Rise a little higher, now I can see. Like a river flowing ever to the greater sea. I can rise a little higher, let the change carry me. Rise a little higher, set my soul free. Rise a little higher, now I can see. Like the river flowing ever to the greater sea. I can rise a little higher, let the change carry me.
There was something about that song that just reminded me of all of the changes that are going on in our collective experience right now, and in our individual experiences too. And I just thought it had a wonderful message for us about how to embrace that. So I am going to turn off our recording now.